the thing that first drew me to ceramics was the fact that I could make things that people could use. I mean, I was very lucky to go to a school that had a pottery on site. It was there in Steiner, the Waldorf Steiner school I attended, where pottery was kind of first introduced to me. And I mean, the first experience, if you want to go all the way back, is that in kindergarten we would dig the material up and we would make small figurines and bake it alongside bread in wood ovens. It wasn't until I was maybe 16 or 17 that I really got hooked on it. So that's where I kind of started, and that was purely, I guess, making functional objects. And as soon as I realized I could make things that I could use and give to people, I was hooked. I mean, I owe so much to that initial education, and I think Steiner as a whole, what it did is expose children and myself to knowing how the world around them works from a material standpoint. And that's beyond just ceramic. You know, we did woodwork, we ploughed fields, we grew our own vegetables, we planted trees. So we learn how everything that comes into our house and everything that kind of makes up your day-to-day life, how those things come to be. And I think what that does actually is ground you and give you some sort of just understanding of and respect for pottery or clothes or, I mean, everything. From Steiner, I then went to a school in Ireland called the DCCoI Ceramic Skills and Design Training course. It was totally focused on skill and teaching the students that went there how to be proficient studio potters and people who would be able to kind of run their own business. There was no focus on conceptual art in the first year or your ideas. It was basically, you're going to learn to be a really quick thrower, you're going to learn how to fire kiln, everything that you actually need to run a business. And then in the second year they go, okay, we want to know about your personal style. What is it that makes you tick? What aesthetic are you drawn to? And we all went in different directions, which was kind of fascinating considering we all had the same teachers and we were exposed to the same kilns and clay and everything like that. It was during that time, actually, when I was much younger, I met Lisa Hammond in London, and she was one of the potters I really aspired to. She did exactly what I wanted to do, which is run my own pottery business and sell my own pots. And I asked if I could be her apprentice as a very young, kind of naive thrower who's just started, and she was like, I think you need to grow up a bit. But she was looking for an apprentice as I was coming to conclude my time in Ireland. So I applied for her apprenticeship and I got it. And I started 2 weeks after graduating in Ireland. And I remember thinking, going from Steiner to Ireland, God, this is really hard work, it's like a job. And then I went from Ireland to Lisa, and it was suddenly a second step up of more responsibility, having to learn more, do more. You know, working for Lisa gave me a lot. And then Lisa she always gets her apprentices a leaving gift. She bought me a plane ticket to Japan, and she organised an apprenticeship with Ken Matsuzaki in Mashiko. I look at it as, yeah, Japan was the final stop in my ceramics education. And again, it was another jump up in strenuous hard work. But it was hard work that I think helped me kind of see the world of pottery in a different way. I moved back to London, and it took me maybe almost 2 years to find a space, and I was sort of going mad at home, drawing and, you know, dying to make pots. And then I walked in this place, and it was kind of, that was it. I knew. I've been here ever since. Potters historically have lived in the countryside, whereas nowadays I think there are probably more potters in cities than there have ever been. All my pots are very symmetrical. They're geometric, they're sharp, they are graphic. Maybe it is living in a city that's influenced that aesthetic. This space is orderly and tidy, but it's interesting because at home I'm not as tidy as this. So this is like my bubble of cleanliness and orderliness, and, you know, the pots are lined up in rows. I can't work if it's not like that. This space is very tranquil, and the pots that I choose to make are ultimately the pots that I can sort of imagine myself living with. I like creating things that are refined and delicate, considering they came from earth and metal and stone. Say I'm making a batch of 50 mugs or 50 bowls. I don't look at those pieces as individuals at that point. The 50 pieces are one body of work. They're made to all be the same. That's my goal. It's only when they're glazed and fired that they then become individual. Character, soul, I don't know, human, whatever you want to call it, they are all different. I started blogging when I worked for Lisa, and it was really just to keep my family and friends informed of what I was up to. And it quickly kind of spiraled into something much more than that. It's a second job. I probably do 50% of the time making pots, 50% of the time creating videos. When I was a teenager, and that moment when I got really transfixed with ceramics, I would go home and I would just watch YouTube videos on how to make pottery. And back then there were only maybe 3 people doing it on YouTube. So it's nice now to be in that environment, creating videos for people. I suppose, yeah, that's my form of giving back in a way. I mean, you know, I create videos that show my process and hopefully people find it useful. Truth be told, I never really thought about what the future held. All I knew when graduating from the Steiner school I went to is that I wanted to be able to make pots. I didn't think, oh, 5 years I'm going to have my own studio and do my own thing. Had you told my 16-year-old self I would be able to make the pots I like and sell them, I would probably be very happy. But